So I realized I never made an introduction for this video. I'm going to try and vlog me reading Pride and Prejudice, and I started a couple days ago and I got about 30 pages in, and I think I recorded a couple of reactions to those first 30 pages, so I'll put those right now. This will not be a spoiler-free vlog, so if you have never read Pride and Prejudice, like I never did and didn't know anything about it, and don't want any spoilers, I would not recommend watching the clips of me reacting, and then I'll do a spoiler-free review towards the end. Okay, I am 12 pages in, and I just got to the part where Mr. Darcy says that Elizabeth isn't handsome enough for him, and what? I didn't know he was mean. I didn't expect that, and I am really glad that I am reading this now because my reading comprehension is so much better. So I am understanding this a lot better than I did the first time, and ooh, I'm shocked by that. I am insulted for her. Rude. Also, her parents are really funny. I didn't realize how funny this would be, but I'm liking it so far. I'm wondering, is this like one of the first enemies to lovers stories? Did I just not know that? Or is this not one of the first ones? I don't know. I don't read classics. I'm confused. I'm like 20 pages in now, and he changed his mind, and now he thinks that she's prettier and more intriguing? I don't get it. That was fast. That was a fast turnaround there. Currently, I just made it to about 25% of the way through. The copy that I have is about 417 pages, I think it is. So I've made it 111 into it, and I am actually liking it. I will say that it is still pretty difficult for me to get through some of it. The vocabulary in it is higher than what I expected it to be. At the same time, I knew that it was going to be challenging just because it was written so long ago. I just didn't realize how many words I just wouldn't know, and I'm having issue when they're having conversations, understanding what they're even talking about. I am doing a lot better of a job understanding it this time around than when I read it 6-7 years ago, where I'm pretty sure I was just reading words and not absorbing any of it, and I had no idea what was going on because all of this feels new to me. So far from my understanding, what I'm getting is that Elizabeth thinks that she is really good at understanding somebody's character, and she has judged Mr. Darcy based on hearing him say that he didn't think she was attractive, and then him just being very proud and the way that he presents himself. So she's decided that she doesn't like him very much. She also doesn't like Mr. Bingley, I think that's how you say his name. She doesn't like his sisters very much, and she's just judging a lot of people based on her impressions of them, but she thinks she's a good judge of character, yet she met Mr. She met Mr. Wickham, and she thinks that he has a really good character when everyone is telling her that she doesn't. So she is very headstrong, believes what she is saying is true. I am still in agreement that this is the first hate to love story. I don't know, is it? I've made it about 50 more pages in, and things are really slow, and I'm kind of bored. A lot of nothing's happening. All the guys left, Mr. Bingley, Mr. Darcy, Mr. Bingley's sisters. Charlotte's now getting married, and that was kind of sudden, and I'm very confused on timelines. I feel like things are happening really quickly, but then it seems like a lot of time is also passing, so I'm not really sure what time things are going on. They keep referencing Christmas, but I didn't know it was winter. This part's kind of tough to get through. It might just be because I'm tired and I don't do a great job reading when I'm tired, but I'm kind of bored. I made it halfway. It's gotten better. Still a little confused on how long it's been. I feel like it's been a year since the start of the story, where I'm at now. Lizzie is with Charlotte in wherever they are living. I don't remember the name. And Mr. Darcy and Mr. Fitzwilliam are staying with Lady Catherine. And I guess Lizzie likes Mr. Fitzwilliams now. I feel like she's gone through like a lot of guys, and I'm very confused what's going on with that. That Wickham guy just like came and went. He was just like one page goodbye, no more of him. And I'm very confused if I'm supposed to like Darcy or like if we're supposed to really dislike him because Lizzie dislikes him, because I'm just not seeing how I'll eventually like him if he's making it so Jane can't end up with Mr. Bingley, and if he just is very rude and like doesn't talk. Like, I don't know him very well, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like him or when I will. Yeah, that was about 100 pages of them not interacting with each other, so I wasn't prepared for that. I'm gonna get back to it one more chapter before I'm done for the night, so that I'm at 50%. What? Chapter 34. He just rushed in and he just said that. Did he? What? What? I did not expect that. He thought she was sick. And he was worried. And he came in and he just said that. Okay. I did not expect a proposal halfway through the book. I did not expect such a bad proposal too. Like, I don't like him. He's very rude. He is very proud. And I think she had every right to turn him down. So I'm gonna be shocked to see how this turns around. Like, I'm very interested how he is so desirable to everyone. I really want to know what makes him so great, because right now, for the first 200 pages, he has not been great. Not a fan. I should have kept reading last night. I just got to his letter and like, I'm mad that I didn't read that last night. I mean, I probably wouldn't have understood it if I read it last night, but that explains a lot. I see his side of things now. I like him more. I'm mad at myself for not reading it yesterday, but I get it. I like that he acknowledges that like he did something wrong, that like she's seeing him poorly and he wants to explain himself and like understands if she doesn't want to believe him. Like, I like that. I like the way that this is going. I feel like too many romances now make a big problem that doesn't really need to be a big problem. It's just like very contrived and doesn't really make much sense to the people and the characters, and this makes sense. Like, I get why she didn't like him. I didn't like him, and now that he's explained himself, I'm like excited to see how else they like make up to each other. So I'm enjoying that aspect. It's not like silly why they disliked each other. It makes sense. So I'm excited to read more now. So I'm trying to get to 75%, and it's still pretty slow. I'm surprised by how little Elizabeth and Darcy are interacting. I thought that they would talk a lot more, they would run into each other a lot more, they'd have like a lot of just like bump-ins and dislike each other and bicker and then go about their ways and then eventually fall in love because they were bickering so much. I don't know, that's what I assumed was going to happen, but it is not what is happening. We had almost the entire second part of them not talking at all, and Elizabeth meeting different guys and worrying about them and talking to them and worrying about her family and her sister and not thinking about Mr. Darcy very much until the very end when he pops in and like proposes, and then she's like, what is going on? Absolutely not. And then he gives her a letter which makes her understand him a bit more. So I thought, okay, great, now they're gonna interact more, but they don't, and it takes more and more and more chapters of her like thinking about him and like, oh, maybe he's not so bad of a guy, and all these things I thought before weren't what they seemed. And she figures out that Mr. Wickham isn't so great like she thought she was, and she kind of like ends things with him a bit, but she's still not talking to Darcy. But now finally we get her into the same area as him, and I just expected more of that. It's just strange to me now that she's like accepting that Mr. Darcy loves her, or like thinks that he could still love her because he's being so kind, where I don't really know where the love comes from. The people in this book keep referring to like love, and I'm like, no, that's you liking each other because you've talked like 4 times in your life. So that's a little strange to like get used to that being how love works. I think I just actually gasped. I got Jane's, or I just got I just read Jane's letter about Lydia and Mr. Wickham, and I think I actually gasped. I didn't know I had become so attached to these characters, but that was a shock. so I need to keep reading to figure out what's going to happen. And I thought this would be my last chapter of the night, but I don't think so. I need to know what happens. I'm shocked by that. That was a good twist. Okay, I'm going back to reading. I finished it, and I liked it. I went and took a shower to think about it a little bit. Overall, I liked it a lot. It was a good story. I think I mostly am just proud that I finished it, that I didn't put it down, and that I understood it. That was the biggest thing. So, non-spoiler aspect, it's about Lizzie Bennet and her family, who are all kind of a little weird. Like, at least mom and dad are pretty weird. Mom really wants all of her 5 daughters to be married, and Jane and Lizzie are the oldest, so they go to some ball where Jane meets a man named Mr. Bingley, and Lizzie meets a man named Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy is very rude and proud, and Lizzie just automatically does not like him. And Jane really likes Mr. Bingley, and everyone thinks that they're gonna get married. And then things kind of go crazy from there. Overall, I thought it was really funny. I think I've said that a million times now. I didn't expect it to be so funny, but it was really funny. I really liked the characters. All the sisters, well, besides Mary, all of them had pretty strong personalities that got kind of crazy at times, especially Lydia. She was, whew. I did struggle with vocabulary still. That has always been my biggest issue. I have a hard time understanding what they were saying when they're having conversations. A lot of the time when it was just descriptions and stuff, I could understand, but when they were talking to each other, I didn't know what was going on a lot of the time, and I had to guess. So if you also struggle with vocabulary and language, that might be kind of hard to understand, but it didn't happen so often that I couldn't get through the rest of the story. Kind of referenced it in my clips of responding, but I was surprised how little Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth interact with each other. I expected them to talk more often, to run into each other more often, for there to be a little bit more growth in their relationship, because I saw growth from Mr. Darcy's side and what Elizabeth finds out about him and how she sees him changing, but Mr. Darcy didn't get that from Elizabeth, and I felt like that relationship ended up being a little unbalanced. I did really like him though. He ended up surprising me. I did not like him at the beginning, like I said, but he grew on me, and just how he wanted to help her without any of the recognition for doing it, I thought was really, really admirable. So I liked him a lot. I just felt like they should have talked more, because I feel like at the beginning they talked, decided they didn't like each other, then in the middle he proposes and she doesn't know where that came from and turns him down, and so he writes her a really, really nice letter and then starts doing all these really kind things for her and her family, but he doesn't get to interact with her until the very end when they decide that they are going to be together. And that also, I didn't know that a proposal happened in that scene. They were talking, forgiving each other, and then the next thing I know, she's telling Jane that she's engaged, and I totally missed an engagement, or maybe it was just like implied between them. So that was also kind of weird to me, but maybe that's how it goes. You just decide that she regretted saying no, so that meant they were engaged. I don't know. I had a good time. It was fun. I thought Lydia was a hot mess. I think that was really fun to read. I was very shocked by that whole aspect of it, and read longer than I expected to last night because I really wanted to know what was going on with that. I am kind of sad that Jane didn't get much more at the end of the story. Like, it didn't go further into her romance too. And I didn't really like the last chapter where everyone's lives were just summarized, because I wanted a little bit more of like Darcy and Lizzie at the end, but overall it was fun. I am glad that I could read it and understand it, and I feel really proud to do that, and I am excited to read more Jane Austen stories now. I'll probably try and do like one a month until I work up my stamina for these, because that took me 6 days to read, and I do not usually read that slow. Overall, I really liked it. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. I don't think it's a 5-star read for me. Their love story wasn't as strong as I hoped it was, what I expected it to be, and I know that's like for the times. You didn't have a lot of interactions before you got married, but I wish that they would have talked more, wrote a little bit more letters or something. I do really want to watch the movie now, and I think I'm going to do that right when I turn this camera off. It was a good time though, and I am very glad that I read it. So Thank you for watching. If you want to see any more reading vlogs from me, let me know in the comments. I think I'm going to do one for Skyward and Starsight, and eventually I would like to do one for the Six of Crows duology. So let me know if that is something that you would like to see. Thanks for watching. See you later.